Hello, good morning. Happy Thursday. Hello, Linda. Hey, Ambrosia, taking a mental health day. Gonna go to the movies? Heck yeah, what movie you gonna see? What's the movie? Hey, Philip. Going to Supergirl again and then Evil Dead. Ooh. So you liked Supergirl? I heard a lot of negative things about it, although I never listened to any of that kind of stuff. Hey, meme. Like I actually don't listen to reviewers specifically because I find that what I like tends to be very different than what they like. Gave it a 3.5 out of 5. That's still not bad. That's a decent movie. Ah, yeah. I mean, I didn't look at any of the actual I don't do fives too often. That's fair. Oh, nice. Uh, Weird. Stuff's gonna get weird for a second. There we go. Try this again. It wasn't showing my chat over on the tube. There we go. Okay. Superman and Peacemaker have me on board. In my opinion, Marvel has better heroes, DC has better villains. That's fair. I see that. I see that. Okay. Morning, Prairie. Yeah. DC movies definitely don't hit as hard as Marvel does. I was out of town yesterday. Did you miss anything? Well, the war is back on in full force. So that's just great. Frizzle, thank you so much for that. Heart me. Appreciate you. Morning, April. How's it going? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, it's sarcasm in the sense of we know that's not what happened, but he did say he did say Japan when he was supposed to say Iran. So why do you think Trump took old AF1 home? That's a good question. Just got home from a 14-hour shift. Dang. Hey, P. Jeffries. How are you doing? Called Zelensky Putin. Again, not surprising. Tomato, dinosaur. Yeah. Tomato dinosaur. Yeah. I mean, falling asleep during a NATO meeting doesn't surprise me. Good morning, Carolyn. For those of you that weren't aware, Graham Platner has officially dropped out. As well. You're so embarrassing. Yep, pretty much. All of that in one freaking day of being gone. Welcome to American politics, meme. There's a reason people are shutting down. Hey, Bonnie. It's not because... Did you see reporters say to Trump's face that Iran is a dead end for him? I did not, but it's true. It's true. Guys, for those of you that know who Amanda's Mild Takes is, whether from any of the social media, today I posted a video with an interview I did with her. Make sure you go check that out. It's a good interview. I enjoyed it. I've been working a ton, so I haven't been catching up on news. I'm scared to catch up. And you know what? That's fair. That is completely fair. Good morning, Kevin. Haven't seen you on FP in a while, but also I've been watching tons of Love Island. You know, Crystal, a lot of people have been saying that, and a lot of people have been showing up again magically, which is nice. It's nice to see people I haven't seen in a while. But yeah, I haven't been showing up on a lot of people's FYP. Take about 1.5 million boots. Yeah, and I'm not sure you'd actually take it. You may like control in terms of military power, but there's a reason that Persia has survived as long as it has. There's a reason. Right. That's before the mountains. Exactly. Good luck with forcing Pete into any kind of logic. Yeah, you're not forcing Pete into any kind of logic. Anywhere, anytime, any. Yep. But here's the thing. And again, this is why I'm trying to do what I'm doing on here. It's not... We know the problems. We just need to be able to come to an agreement on the problems, that they're problems, and then we can potentially move forward. The whole NATO summit had some really interesting moments. Reporter asked Root about his self-respect while he stands with Trump. Interesting. Project Hail Mary is available in private. I've heard Project Hail Mary is a good movie. AOC, for you. Actually, they have. They've gone up about $10 a barrel in the last 2 days. So yeah, they actually have. I don't know what you consider skyrocketing, but going up about 15% in 2 days is a pretty decent skyrocket. Uh, yeah, that's a lot more than it was. Gas is not down to $2.99. Gas has gone up. Okay. I'm not in California, and gas has gone up. Hey, Bien. I'm not your boy, Kenneth, and I do have my facts straight. It's 365 right near me. Kenneth, again, not your boy. Source? Yeah, my eyes. My experience. My gas has gone up 40 cents in the last 2 days. In North Carolina and South Carolina. No, it is not lower than Biden's term. It is higher than Biden's term. Is it? Prove it? Okay. I know Dancing Queen. It's okay. It's all good. You mean after Russia invaded Ukraine? Come on, dude. I appreciate you too. It is not down $3 a barrel today. I'm literally looking at it. It is down 81 cents for West Texas crude. It is down 55 cents for Brent, and it is down $1 for Murban. I'm looking at live oil prices. But yeah, today. because it resets every day, Roro. It's still skyrocketed over the last 2 days. It's gone up. West Texas has gone up about $12 in the last 2 days. Any good ideas who will replace Platner? I know they've got a few people that they're looking at putting forth. My understanding is the main Democratic Party is going to do a convention to pick the replacement. Morning, Garpu. Hey, Leanne. Oil prices moved up $12 in the last 2 days. Sometimes it feels like we're living in an episode of Game of Thrones. Welcome to the internet. So what with the oil prices? You don't think oil prices have an effect on everything that people make with oil? I know it doesn't fully affect gas prices. Iced coffee on a 90-degree day is proof of a loving deity. There you go. When they say the party, yeah, in a convention, it's not just the insiders that choose at this. Near me, it's about $3.67 a gallon. It's gone up 40 cents in the last 2 days. West Texas crude is 72. That is correct. Yep. Bam came back yesterday, Vonda. West Texas is $72 a barrel today. That's not, it's not down $32, $34 a barrel from 2 days ago. But how you doing, Vonda? Hey, Teach. Anyone talk to Mitch lately? Nope. $80 a barrel is good for oil companies, sure. It's not good if you want stuff to get cheaper. But yeah, for oil companies, yeah. Oil companies love it when the prices go up. Our crude is not 69. It is currently 72. And it was right around $60 2 days ago. For oil companies, 80 is a sweet spot. I never said 80 was high. Higher than 60 was. Under Biden. What did Biden do to cause gas prices to go as high as they did? What choice did Biden make that caused gas prices to go high, in your opinion? I'm inclined to believe the rumors. You can't keep something like that quiet for long with McConnell. It's true. Don't even know what communism is. Moo. The fact that you even said that shows you literally don't know what you're talking about. But thanks for playing. Your family is from Poland. That means absolutely nothing. Am I watching the World Cup FIFA drama? I've seen some stuff about it, Shaba. Ah, you think I'm 12. Okay. No, you don't even know what communism is either, Mr. Slippers, but thanks for playing. What's my opinion on the McConnell situation? I think he's worse off than people are letting go. Letting show. Yeah. It's always hysterical when people think they know my age. It literally shows how ignorant they are. I believe they're keeping him on life support so they can use his vote. Well, if he's on life support, he can't vote. You have to actually be there in the Senate to vote. That is one thing that's not possible. You cannot vote. You cannot vote from afar. Yeah. Right, Garpu? You can't proxy vote in the Senate. Would the governor report a replacement until the election? I don't know what Kentucky's rules are. Thank you. Thank you, Redhead. Everyone should be their mythical best. Mr. Nice Guy, you don't even know what communism is. I love how you guys use words that you have no idea what they mean. I'm just going to use words that I saw everyone that I obsess over say. It's yeah, it's down a big whopping 80 cents today, but in the last 2 days it's gone up about 12 bucks. So, yeah. Is it 150? Why does it have to be 150 to be going up? My prediction? I don't have a prediction yet. It kind of, for me, it kind of depends on who the convention ends up choosing, who's chosen at the convention. Dems said it would. No. They said it's possible it could if things keep going the way they're going. There's a lot of things that go into the pricing, and it definitely could have gotten up that high. No one knows the future. Not even close. I would consider what it got to pretty close. Compared to what it was at before the war, absolutely was close. Morning, Jelly. I mean, people are complaining about gas prices right now because because their, you know, cost of living is so high. It's hard to, it's going to increase the costs. Gas prices affects the cost of goods. They affects your cost of traveling around. Who replaced Garam? We don't know yet, River. So they're gonna, a bunch of people, I don't know if a bunch of people can come forth. I don't know exactly how that part works, but basically they're gonna have a convention where it will be decided who the new nominee is. Am I surprised that Graham dropped out this early? No, he was done. Once it came out, it was done. So a couple things to know. Graham Platner was not chosen by the Democratic Party in Maine or the National Party. The two people that weren't in state at all chose him and did not vet him properly. before what came out, was he well on the way to winning? Yes, River, he was. Yeah, they're gonna have a convention, Bearhemoth, to choose their nominee. Yeah, they've got about four or five people, I think. I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Maine about the choices that she likes. I think her top choice, she said, was, let me find it. Troy Jackson. I have to have my coffee or I dies. Yeah, no dying. Troy is my top choice. Yeah, my friends too, so wouldn't surprise me. I've heard Troy come up a lot, yeah. Can't believe it's 4 months until midterms. I know, crazy, right? Oh, it's absolutely an easier chamber of Congress for the Dems. 100%. Well, there's a lot of people doing a lot of work. So yeah, I hope it goes well too. Majority in the Senate or in the House? I still think they're going to take the House by a lot. I think they're going to take the House by at least 10 seats. I think we either end up 50-50ing in the Senate. I think that is a very possible chance of 50-50ing. Which unfortunately means we lose it, but if I were a betting man, that's what I would bet, is that we 50-50. Who should be Speaker of the House? AOC. That's my opinion, obviously. And not everyone's, but a lot depends on if USPS follows through with their threat to not deliver ballots to blue states. That's true. As Scott reminded us, the Senate map wasn't great for Democrats this year. And again, there are opinion on Fetterman. Hate him. I wish he'd leave early, but we're not going to be that lucky. Troy Jackson sounds like he might have a chance. Do you think that can happen with her age? I mean, in the end, it depends on a lot of things. Ro Khanna, I'd be okay with Ro Khanna. I think AOC, I would rather have AOC, but I think I would be okay with Ro Khanna. Of all of them. Will Jesse Ventura run for something in Minnesota? Probably not. Melanie Stansbury? I like her. I like her. I would be okay with that. I would be down with that. Okay. What about it? We thought Fetterman was going to be different. He turned out to be not what we thought he was. The person in my district ran as a Democrat and then switched to Republican after the 2024 election. What do you expect me to think about them? Or the 2022? I forget which. Can the Iran war escalate? Of course it can. Will it? That really depends on... I mean, even as much as I hate Fetterman, I would have voted Fetterman over Oz any day, if we're being honest. I would have much rather... Fetterman at his worst is still better than Oz. Graham Platner dropped out. Yep, he officially dropped out. Oz is an idiot who will kiss the ass of anyone that will give him more of what he wants, which is money and power. I mean, oil prices have already gone up $12 since the war restarted. You think a 15% rise in oil prices isn't a skyrocket? He is not kicking ass in the cabinet. But thanks for playing. Insignificant? Okay. Good luck with that. Me too, Janet. Me too. Me too. 201 days and almost 201 distractions. Truth. Yes, model. They're doing a convention to pick their new candidate. He had to drop out by Monday. I'm sorry to hear that you lost a friend because of it. I didn't hear the conversations. My guess is it's more than just Fetterman, but I don't know. So I can't speak for anybody. Oprah gave us Oz and Dr. Phil. That is true. I wish our politicians would do anything to actually help people over their pockets. Me too. Me too. That I agree with. Fake war. Tell the people that are losing their life that. I think those people would disagree with you. Disagree. I don't think they would use it. There is a reason that mutual destruction has prevented anyone from using a nuclear weapon since World War II. Fake? I don't know if he was fake. From what I hear, he isn't actually that different from what he was, but he was also better than Oz. Johnny, I hear there are about 3 or 4 people that are possibilities, but Troy Jackson seems to be the name I'm hearing the most. Well, you know, the ceasefire allowed them to get 40 million barrels of oil through. So they're not quite as broke as they were. Today is Argentinian Independence Day. Interesting. I mean, they are allies with China. China's the one who buys the most Iranian oil out there. And hey, Aaron, how you doing? Oprah is showing how shallow she is by staying silent while the men she promotes are destroying our country. First off, not a Democrat. And are you saying that the allegations are false? It's not like things haven't come out about him that are true that were disturbing to begin with. Actually, this wasn't someone on the right who hated Oprah in this case, but who did I vote for? For in what race? I voted for a lot of people. You just said, who did you vote for? I'm not the one who's not communicating well. Vonda, the scary thing is there are people on the left that have been minimizing it because of this person, because of who it was about. Accountability is hard, especially when people are afraid. I think that's been the hardest part for me. What are oil prices? Right now, they're at West Texas is at $72. 72.69. Brent is at 77. A lot of people knew about the Duggars and did nothing. Dugars, whatever their name is. True. Again, accountability is hard when you know making that choice can make other things more difficult. I hope people learn to vet better before you put someone forth. I look at, it's literally called oilprice.com. They basically, you can get live updates on the oil prices. What's the plan for the election now? So the main Democrat Party is going to hold a convention to pick the new candidate. Hey, Patty. Hey, Minnesota Mom. So, again, to be clear, when it came to Graham Platner, he was not the choice. He was not put forth by the Democratic Party, neither Maine nor federal. It was an outside, it was two people that don't live in Maine that picked him and encouraged him to run and vetted him poorly. I just want to make that clear. This was not the Democrats. This was not the Democratic Party that vetted poorly. This was two people that aren't associated with the Democratic Party officially in any way other than being Democrats. That picked him, convinced him to run, and helped get him funding. Always making excuses. It's not an excuse. It was a dumbass thing to do. What's an excuse? Putting forth a candidate, whether it's the Democratic Party or not, without doing a full vetting, that'd be stupid no matter who did it. Hey, Nikki. Good morning. How are you? Yep. And again, if you are a Republican that supported this administration, Democrats didn't do anything. It wasn't a bait and switch. Stuff came forth about him that was bad, and we're holding him accountable. That's how accountability works, Daniel. Doctor gave me a clean bill of health after my follow-up to my cancer surgery. We're very thankful. Hell yeah. Guys, if you're on TikTok, please tap that nose. Please join the fan club. Please share. Helps get it out to more people. I miss when people believed in things like vaccines and election results, right? Yes, Patty. My family came back home yesterday. While as a whole, I would sort of agree with that, but considering some of the laws that this country is making, I'm not sure I would say that they value life much differently. Before the overturning of Roe v. Wade, I may have agreed with you more. But considering what's happened in this country since then, after what the cubes are doing to people in this country, I'm not sure that that's completely true. It's different, but I'm not sure it's completely true. I mean, anyone that is the establishment doesn't get to pick. You think there aren't progressives that are in the Democratic Party? So they're doing it via convention. I don't know exactly what that process entails, but I think it's probably the delegates, which anyone can run to be a delegate. But I'm not sure. I probably need to look it up, but you're a Democratic Socialist? That's the other funny thing that people don't realize. People are acting like there have never been Democratic Socialists in Congress. There have been while Trump was in office. Democratic Socialists being voted into Congress is not actually a new thing. 72 as we speak. Yeah, it was around 60 a couple days ago. I would call going up $12 in like 2 days a skyrocket. Add DOJ still withholding the rest of the e-files even after judge ordered them not to. True. I mean, to be fair, Vonda, especially the Republicans in office, but and a lot of MAGA, they will just call you that if you're willing to call yourself a Democrat or on the left or a progressive. Like, they don't care. They probably will even call people in moderate Republicans that, if we're being honest with ourselves at this point. They're just calling anybody that. It's just they're attempting another Red Scare. Oh yeah, Nikki, it's gone up fast. Oil is not down. It's gone down 80 cents today. That's not down. Yeah, most of the victims' info is released because they've walked out in public at this point. Guys, we do not need to fight with each other. It is not up $4 in the last 7 days. It went up $8 yesterday alone. So, no. No. I was literally in live watching it go up. But again, thanks for playing. I do not know, fortunate servant. Do not know. I mean, fear, you know, populist messaging is dangerous. Especially in when the person giving it is a known criminal. Why would they give up? They're winning. Hell. To be fair, fortunate servant, Americans, especially the American government, blaming immigrants is a pretty common thing for them. Guys, we need stop. We don't need to argue about aspects of socialism. We don't need to fight about it. That is not necessary at this point. No, they're not. They are literally winning. I mean, again, I guess it depends what you consider winning, but saying their leaders are getting knocked out one by one shows you don't understand how their system works compared to ours. Gas isn't going down. It's gone up $12 in the last day. Whose side are you on? You think there's a side to saying who's in reality winning or losing? You think I have to be on a side? I have to be on a specific side to say we're losing? Why we didn't eliminate Iran's other leader now? I'm not on anybody's side. Not in this war. I'm on America's side. I'm on the world's side. I'm on the innocent side. I'm on civilian side. I just want this to end. It is skyrocketing. If it was around $60 before this war started back up. Right, now Japan is a Muslim country. I was reading chat, Mike. Again, I would argue Iran is winning in terms of everything that the US has said that they were going to do, they haven't done. And in the grand scheme of things, they still own the strait. and they can close it whenever they want. And there is nothing that we can do to stop it. But the cost that they're paying, not. I mean, yeah, they're paying a cost. Sure. People that win still pay a cost. It's still a high cost. Oh, and what's up, Scott?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
You know, it's always an interesting day these days.
Yep.
Every,
Hello, everybody in chat.
I mean, I got people saying that going from around $60 a barrel to $72 a barrel in 2 days is not skyrocketing. Because it's not 150 like people thought it was going to be before things changed.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to, I guess, understand that the price is going to wiggle around a little bit, and we all become focused because that's what the newspapers report and that's what online reports on the futures contract, which is the price that we see. But as you and I both know, and as Mr. Global constantly reminds us, the spot price is significantly higher. And the spot price is what a barrel of oil actually costs.
Yep. Basically I wouldn't say we're in a dictatorship, just because the fact that this man is running everything via executive orders shows it's not a dictatorship. But it's not what it was. Although, let's be fair, presidents have been doing a lot more, have just gradually been going up and up and up on how much running of the country is happening via executive order. Like that, it's not new to this president. It's worse in this president than it's ever been. But Biden was doing it. Even Obama did quite a few executive orders. He didn't do quite as much, obviously, but he was definitely using more executive orders. Again, it's just kind of been gradually going up and up and up. Sure, FSB. Yeah. Do we think AOC is running for Senate or president? You know, I'll be interested to see what happens. Hello.
Hey, good morning, brother. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I just started using TikTok again. I came up. You and I used to chat like late nights about a year ago.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just super glad to see you still doing it.
Yeah, mornings are easier now, so.
Nice. Yeah, I just want to talk about like how badly we are losing this war in Iran. And I don't mean like, oh, US is better than Iran. I mean like how badly of a misstep it was to do this. For 40 years, Iran's solution to avoiding getting invaded by the West was to threaten to close the Strait of Hormuz. And for 40 years, no one knew if they could do it. It was a theory. A lot of folks thought they couldn't do it. Pentagon always thought they did, which is why the Pentagon has for 40 years said, don't attack Iran because we're pretty sure that they can do it. Not only did we prove for them that they can do it, but we proved how cheap it is for them to do it. Like, America has anti-drone weapons on our warships. Okay, to fire them off costs about like $200,000 per volley that we fire against these. We drop about $200K to destroy a drone that cost about $15K. All right.
Yeah.
And so there's one. Second, what we did was trade a frankly fairly moderate leader in Khomeini, who was willing to do business with the US. We had a nuclear trade deal with them. He was actually pretty low key. He did not represent the younger generation of Iranian elites who want to become, they want more power. They are tired of living under the economic and political structure that was agreed upon in the wake of World War II, when they had far less financial power than they do these days. Now they have a tremendous amount of financial power, and what holds them back is the restraints of the agreements for the past 40, 50 years, everything since World War II and on, right? They want a reset of the global order, but they couldn't do it. They were held back by the older generations who were happy with the status quo. And we went in and we got rid of the person who was maintaining that status quo. Now they are led by a much younger, much more zealous, much more anti-American person. And when I say led, I mean that's just like the official leader. The person who's really in charge in Iran is a guy named Ahmed Zahidi. He's in charge of the IRGC. Ahmed Zahidi sits like a mile underground in a windowless room in a bunker, giving orders not via cell phones and beepers. He has people who come in. He just sits in the room thinking about how much he hates the West. Ahmed Zahidi is a guy who's been wanted by the international courts for 35 years after conducting one of the most brutal explosion events against Israeli people in Buenos Aires back in the day. This guy absolutely hates the West, and he is in charge of the IRGC. And you have to understand, in Iran, the difference between the IRGC political power and the main Iranian air quotes legitimate power, right? It's more like it is in Russia than it is here in the US. So they have to work hand in hand. So you have to understand that the people that we're dealing with, we had people that were willing to deal with us, and we got rid of them, replaced them with more motivated, more rich, more zealous people, and an absolute madman. We proved that it's cheap for them to shut down the straits to the extent that they should consider it an asset that they can use to extract money from everybody going through it now. And this is all this isn't even the craziest thing. The craziest thing is that MOU. You remember that they said there's a thing about $300 billion we're going to be paid for reparations to enhance Iran's stuff. And everybody was like, oh, we're going to pay him $300 billion. And Trump kept saying, no, we're not going to pay it. The nations around the Middle East are going to pay it. And I know a lot of people took that as Mexico is going to pay for the wall, and they were making fun of it. But you have to really look at what that really means. Sometimes when Trump says things, it's because things that, his dementia-addled brain has overheard as other people are making plans for him, right? You should see the $300 billion that will be invested from other countries around him as a major political shift. For the past 40 years, a bunch of these Arab nations around it that work with the West, but not with Iran, have had to have really cold relationship with Iran. It was very complicated for them because they were allied with the West. They're part of our money cleaning system with oil. And so they could not invest in Iran. So what we're seeing now is on top of everything we've done to show that we're a paper tiger, to improve Iran's state in the world stage, to replace their leaders with more people who hate Western America, we've also created a situation where now the other Arab nations around Iran now have political and narrative cover to invest $300 billion in Iran, which will cause them to grow closer over time and finally achieve a true Arab bloc, which is the one thing that will finally push the West out of the Middle East. So congratulations. We've destroyed 75 years of very, very careful planning to keep the West involved in the Middle East, to try to keep down the prices that we have on oil, the prices that we have on shipping, and just general global order. So congratulations. That's what we did.
Well, you're exactly correct, especially the part about the Persian Gulf nations are going to draw their own conclusions here. And their conclusions are that the United States cannot protect them. The missile defenses did not work nearly as well as were advertised. A lot of damage was caused to them, and they are definitely going to make a move towards Iran. And Iran now has de facto control, if not de jure control, they have de facto control of the Straits of Hormuz, which is the economic lifeline of not only the Persian Gulf nations, but also the Western world, their economies. And of the four stated goals of the Iran war, have we eliminated the ballistic missiles? No, we're not even discussing that. Have we eliminated aid to Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas, their proxies? No. In fact, it's not even in the MOA. Have we retrieved the 970 pounds of enriched uranium? No. And what about regime change? Well, there has been a bit of a change. The IRGC is now in charge, so the real nuts are in charge now.
He's a monster.
As you pointed out, there is a reason why since 1979 we have had war plans for Iran, but have never pulled the trigger for reasons that are now altogether obvious.
Yeah, it's really wild. I want to answer a question somebody asked. They said, why was Iran wildly shooting at neighboring countries? It wasn't wild. So, as part of like Iran's preparation for being, invaded, their deterrent, they had made it very clear. We have missiles pointed at everyone, literally everyone around us. If you attack us, we will fire them.
And at this point, they also consider anyone that supports the United States to be working against them. So if we go at a base there, anything like they this is why people don't seem to get how much Iran is doing all of this correct. Because this has been almost I say a masterclass, but the fact is an idiot is the one that decided to start this war. So it's easy to have a masterclass when you're playing against an idiot.
Yeah, and also the plan that they're following, this isn't any moment to moment strategically awesome moves that they're making. They're literally just following the playbook that they've had and advertised globally as their deterrent for 40 years. And I think people have this idea that Iran fired all these missiles at UAE and Qatar, and they blew up oil infrastructure, right? You need to understand that that does not necessarily mean that Iran and Qatar and UAE can't make further deals with one another. In fact, they're going to. What that really is, the aftermath of that is hey, we're very angry that you blew up 20% of the world's, oil processing facilities and no one can get helium anymore. We're very angry about that because we were making a bunch of money off that. But anyways, while they're under the bridge, we should make some new agreements now that we are forming an Arab bloc. They can just move on. And they can move on without us.
Yeah, and it's a matter of necessity for them. I think one of the red flags for the United States, although it's very good for the Persian Gulf nations, are they're partnering with Ukraine for drone defenses. That's telling us that they've already made the decision that they can't rely on the United States to provide their security. And as secondary to that, they will start moving more towards Iran, which has become a regional hegemon now. And they have no choice but to make their peace with Iran.
I think Americans could do well to see the Arab world's internet. They'd like to understand the memes that are going on. An entire generation of young people who grew up hating the West but not necessarily radicalized have looked at Iran successfully punching back and putting a hole in the paper tiger of the US, and they will become emboldened. This is gonna grow recruiting amongst their proxies, amongst local insurgent orgs. Big ups for them.
Even people that liked the West, how when you see your friends, your neighbors, everything you've owned getting destroyed by bombs coming from American ships, while it might not convince all of them, I guarantee it will convince some of them to change their mind. Because that's just, again, fear does these kind of things. And you're not turning people towards the United States when you do it. There's a reason that nobody in Iran rose up and rebelled against this their regime when the bombing started.
I see a lot of crickets from the folks that made me want to get up here and correct in the first place. Nothing to say?
Well,
Can somebody at least call me un-American?
A lot of
No,
those
it's
people have
not.
disappeared. They may come back.
It's not un-American. It's being factual.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, look, this is what surrender looks like. This is what losing a war looks like. We lost the war. The only issue is, can we get out of this with some modicum of stability? And that's going to be very difficult. The president's put himself in one hell of a box and obviously has no way to get out of it.
And the thing is, there are winners. There are American winners on this. It's Trump and his inside circle who are clued in with the weekly, like 15 times over now, pump and dump market manipulation that he's doing with the oil prices.
Oh yeah.
Like those are the people who are winning right now. The guys who are buying the dips on oil
Yep.
and know what Trump's going to do and are clued into all the negotiations, so they know what the price is going to be.
How to fix it? I mean, again, fixing is a relative term. What's the best choice at this point? To just get out. There is no other option. In the end, the only way that it will not go back to the old way of doing things unless someone other than the United States actually gets involved. As long as the United States is involved and tries to put their thumb on things, we're done. We're done. And we have to accept that. We have to just pull out and let other people try and set the stage for something, but it can't be us anymore because we've lost.
Well, it's obvious that we've lost because we're not going to get anything on ballistic missiles. We're not going to get anything on their use of proxies. We're not going to get anything on the 970 pounds, which now the president is saying it's so buried they'll never be able to use it, which of course leads to the question, then why'd you start this war? Exactly. If it's so buried they can never use it, why did you start the war? And we're not going to get regime change. So none of those things are going to happen. The best we can hope for, and what Trump is trying to do, by the way, with bribes, $300 billion bribes, other ways, is to get the status quo ante for the Strait of Hormuz. That's the best we're going to get out of this.
But even
that's the best.
Even that's looking like
and that's
a
looking
pipe dream.
Problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they agreed to that when we had way more leverage.
Yeah, precisely.
But now,
I mean, we've yanked out one of the Air Force carrier task groups. So we have less firepower there than we had before. So if it didn't work before, what makes you think it's going to work again? Especially since the United States is not prepared to put boots on the ground, which is wise, but we're not going to do it. Trump can threaten all he wants. He won't do it.
Would cutting ties with the I country help that? No. I don't. I mean, I guess possibly if there was some extreme cutting of ties, I guess it maybe would depend on what the cutting of ties looked like. But just simple like denouncing them or whatever, no, it wouldn't, because again, it's the same problem when it comes to tariffs. It's the same problem when it comes to any of our interactions with any of our world partners and allies right now. We've talked about this for months now. Scott and I sure have. What country can believe any agreement that we make with them anymore? Because this administration has shown that, this Congress has shown that it doesn't matter what was agreed to. They can just decide they don't like it anymore and walk away. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the ultimate price to pay for the 2024 election. The 2024 election showed the world that the 2016 election was not a fluke. Trump won again. And so people who think that, well, if the Democrats take the trifecta in 2028, all is solved. No, that's not true. Because the Europeans and our allies in the Indo-Pacific know full well that we are only one election away at any one time from going back to crazy town. And they're not going to trust us.
Yep.
Nor should they.
And again, people are talking about all the deals that are being made now. Understand that whether regardless of what's going to happen years from now, the reality at this moment is, yeah, we still have a lot of money as a country. We still have a lot of other things as a country. So they've got until new supply chains and new trade routes get worked out. Most countries still have to interact with us, but it has already been shown. Canada's already looking at building new pipelines to other areas of Canada so they can start shipping out their own oil instead of having to go through the United States. What's that going to do? That's going to increase the oil prices as a whole, because American companies got oil from Canada for really cheap because the only direction they could go at that moment was to the United States. But they're now working on deals, on ways to fix that. Trade routes, new trade deals are getting made, new trade routes are getting made. This is what happens when you lose it. So is it going to happen right away? No. But it will. We've opened the door. We've caused the problem. It sounds like it's going to take it's absolutely going to take decades. It's going to take decades, and it's going to take us doing things that we're not going to like. I've said this before. If it were me, there would need to be new, either minimum laws put in place that don't allow for a lot of the stuff that we have done to just be able to happen on a whim. And I also think that the United States would have to also put themselves at least somewhat under the authority of the ICC. I think without those two things, I think it would be very difficult to get much credibility back. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but
I just want to add something on that because, yeah, we were talking about like moving away from ties with the I group. We just strengthened our ties with the I group like a week and a half ago.
yeah.
We pushed through a bill. So there's a certain level of military strategic integration that traditionally we have allowed only for like the major ally nations: France, Germany, the UK, and Canada. A week and a half ago, we passed some legislation to open that level of strategic cooperation up to Israel.
You're good.
I don't know.
You're good. No, Vonda, they're talking about the actual country, not the pack here that supports them. And why do conservatives hate Muslims but are okay with like the Saudis? Because they don't know the difference. They don't know the thing that keeps coming forth with a lot of people when it comes to a lot of things that are going on is there is a complete and utter lack of understanding of who people are, of what different things are, what different groups are, and they use the words as catch-alls. That's like saying every Christian is a Christian. It's like saying every Muslim is a Muslim. It's like saying they don't have the ability to understand nuance, or are maybe not the ability. They definitely choose to ignore nuance. Let's put it that way. Ignoring nuance is easier. And to an extent, I get that. It is easier. It's much easier to just say all Democrats or all Republicans or all anything. It's much easier. It gives people a direction and a to point their angst. And to be fair, Every country has and does do this. It's not new to Patty. Thank you. And everyone else that has given to me and everyone else. Thank you. You guys are friggin' amazing. Again, we're dealing with a lot of different problems, and not problems that you're going to get rid of like that. We've got a lot of fear. We've got a lot of mistrust. And to be fair, the mistrust is valid. And because there is valid mistrust, it has spread. So what we're experiencing is mistrust that, you know, I mean, look at what's going on with Graham Platner. We have had people that have run knowingly, that have actively run as Democrats and then switched over to the Republican Party, like the day after they were voted in. There is a lack of trust. There's a lack of trust in regardless of whether there should, neither people on either side trust the other side. And in many ways, they don't even trust the people on their own side. So when things like what's happened over in Maine happen, everyone's sitting here going, oh, I don't like, what, Dan? See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, what? Oh, we need to be able to, that's why when I'm talking about things, I try and first start off with an understanding of what people mean when they say words, because chances are we may agree on some of the same things. But stop saying just the problem is Democrats or the Republicans or socialism or capitalism or communism, especially if you don't know what those actually mean. Like, let's talk about what people stand for that you don't like. Stop saying just Democrats are all socialists, because they're not. First off, they aren't. And second, what specifics don't you like that they stand for, that the people are running as democratic socialists are fighting for, that you disagree with, and why? How serious do you guys take the algo lords on, like Teal and the guy who owns? How serious do you guys take them? What do you mean? I mean, I think Teal is a billionaire that is using his money to try and turn the world. Of course, all billionaires pose a problem in America, in the country, in the world. Billionaires pose a problem to the entire world. I mean, he knows how dangerous it is. That's why he moved to Argentina. Oh yeah, I've heard Teal's talks. He's a frightening dude.
That was very telling, wasn't it, that he moved to Argentina?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get much news, but I think it should have. I think it was very telling.
I mean, the fact that everything the party he has been supporting stands for is technically, like, the way he lives, he is actually the antithesis of what the party says it supports, and yet they seem to support him in every, or at least the people. I'm a Democrat. I never thought of myself as a socialist. Chances are most people aren't. Are there things that we like that socialism stands for? Yeah. But that doesn't mean you are a socialist. It doesn't mean you are anything. This is why I hate this identity politics thing.
Mike, this whole communist socialist thing is nothing more than the 2026 version of 2024's woke trans thing.
Yeah.
They're going to come up with simple words for simple-minded people because that's what they do.
Yep.
Can I share a fun thing about Peter Thiel?
Sure.
Peter Thiel has gone to great lengths to hide this from the internet, but his great grandfather or great grandfather was one of the Yahtzee scientists brought to the U.S. under Project Paperclip.
I don't know what that is.
Project Paper. Okay, so at the end of World War II, right, when the Allies were all dividing up the spoils
Mm-hmm.
of having won the war,
Mm-hmm.
right, the U.S. had no territorial ambitions, aside from like the establishment of the I state, right. But we had no like territorial ambitions. We weren't like able to really loot. So like, what were the spoils that we were going to get? Because there's always spoils when there's a war. So the spoils that the U.S. got was Project Paperclip, where we were basically allowed to go through the roster of all of the captured Yahtzee scientists and bring many of them home. That's how we got the rocketry program in the U.S. The U.S. The rocketry program was built by a guy named Werner von Braun. He's the one that built our entire NASA. That all of that owed to a Yahtzee scientist that we snatched up from at the end of that war through Project Paperclip. And Peter Thiel's family is part of that group.
Well, that shouldn't have anything to do with Peter Thiel. But yeah, Mike, his history tells us the Cold War began in 1947, which is ludicrous. The Cold War began in late 1944 as LaVetri Beria and Wild Bill Donovan of the OSS fanned out across Europe in search of those rocket scientists. The big prize being, of course, Dr. von Braun. And he came over here, had his record wiped clean, and nobody really quite knew what he did until he was gone. And usually with the Church Commission in, I think it was 1975, a lot of that stuff came out.
Deakiest, it depends what you're talking about. Again, just like with anyone on the left or on the right, every person has different things. No one thing is right. Can I think of anything off the top of my head? Not really, because I don't focus on the specific like names, socialism, socialist policies, or anything like that. I know what I support, and I support people in the primaries that support the most of what I support. And then in the general election, I support the person that most aligns with my fundamentals. And if both do, then I support the person that most aligns with also the direction I want the country to go in. And those extras. This is what I'm talking about. This is the problem that we have. We so focus on the names. Again, not even every chapter of the DSA in this country looks at things the same way. So to say what specific policies of socialism do I disagree with, I don't. I want policies that help not just all Americans, but people, humans. I'm not so focused just on America in that respect. I mean, yes, I think American government needs to focus on America first, in the sense of people that are here need to have those fundamentals protected. But I think it's gotten wacko. I don't know. I'm tired of this identity. Well, classless and stateless and moneyless is not socialism. That is communism. And that is different. Now, in communism, it was staged. Socialism was a stepping stone to communism, but they are different. If you're looking at everything that I'm okay with, it'd probably be a mixture of multiple different ways that society could run. I don't agree. I don't even think it's possible to have pure socialism or communism work, especially not right now. I think the way that it would have to work is a mixture of multiples. I think there are certain things that the state should own because they are things that everybody in this country needs to survive. Like I don't think that energy should be privately owned. I don't think housing should be able to be a commodity. I think the fact that we turned housing into a commodity instead of a place where people live so they can live a life is one of the main reasons that has caused housing prices to go up as much as they have. I don't think healthcare should be a commodity and for profit. I don't think anyone should profit on the health or sickness of other people. I think there are certain things in this country that should not be about making profit. Do I think there can be oil is not back down, but anyways, education should not be a commodity. A well-educated society is good for all of society. It has been shown again and again and again and again. I think we need to spend more time figuring out what people are good at and help them get jobs. I think the fact that we as a society don't actually help adults get work in a way, it is not down half of what it was 2 days ago. Dirty. But, it did not go up just yesterday. It's gone up 2 days in a row. But thanks for playing. I don't see why we're not trying to help people get jobs. Yeah, there are lots of jobs out there that we need. Why are we trying to just encourage people? Why are we making it so people have to do extra work in order to get jobs that they may enjoy doing? Let's help people get jobs. Let's make it easier for people to get work. But we don't do that. We make it harder. We make it more difficult. So, yeah. There are a lot of things that I think that a government doesn't have to just be federal. It can be state. It can even be local. That's a discussion that we can have. But I think there are things that I'm okay with being commodities that are for profit, and I think there are things that shouldn't be for profit. The government should not be involved in anything. That is a dumb statement. That is idiotic. That's called society, dude. Welcome to life.
If the government shouldn't be involved in anything, then I guess we shouldn't have any government at all. Is that what he's saying?
Literally every society since the dawn of creation has had a government that has been involved in their society. Literally, it has never not existed. Every single, whether it was, yes, in tribal societies too, they still had a government. It was elders. It was a group of people that would make decisions.
What's kind of funny is we actually have a lot of historical perspective on what happens when you have a government that doesn't do anything. That is what comes at the end of a government's lifetime, when we descend into chaos and there's an interregnum period. And what happens during that period? This is the thing that always gets me with the folks who are like, oh, let's not have any government, non-statist, whatever. What do you think is going to happen? Do you realize that the government is the existence of a government, right? Something that uses its monopoly on violence on your behalf to protect you. Do you understand what that holds back from destroying your life? If there were no government to step in and regulate you, to like protect you merely because it's valuable to have protection over its own citizens, you would immediately be dominated and exploited by somebody more powerful than you. Immediately. And if they had no use for you, if they couldn't economically use you, if they weren't interested in putting you in a cage and sending you off to a salt mine, then they would just give you a 6-foot box. That's what happens when there's no government.
And some of the uh things that have caused the the largest growth in society are thanks to things that the government did or paid for, at least. Because again, the government isn't looking for a profit. The problem always comes is that a lot of these growth things, these advancements nowadays all have to do with getting a profit, which by its very nature means that they're going to cost more. When the government is involved in doing things that don't require a profit, it automatically is cheaper. Do I have an issue? Again, still waiting on you to tell me one thing government well besides military. What's your determination of well? This is the problem with some of these arguments from people.
So your solution, if you think that things aren't being done well, is to do away with OSHA completely, do away with Social Security, do away with Medicare, do away with pollution standards, do away with everything? Because they're not running quite the way you would like them to run?
What is the government needs to go away? Voluntary? No. Again, this is the thing that is always hilarious to me. People such as yourself act as though you knew what it was like before these things existed. That you knew what it was like. Again, is Social Security perfect? No. Does it need changes? Yes. But you don't know what it was like before Social Security. OSHA, one of the best things that happened for workers in this country that the government ran. Public roads. USPS. And again, are they perfect? No. But nobody's perfect. No company is perfect. Why is the government different? Tell me how good you have them. That's how good public roads are. You have them. They didn't exist before the government made them. That's how good they are. It wasn't possible to transit across the country the way you can now if it wasn't for the government. That's how good they are. They're not dirt anymore.
The U.S. highway
Dirty
system. Sorry, go ahead.
Sanchez, have you ever heard of the interstate highway system? Started under President Eisenhower. That's where our fuel taxes go to build roads and highways. It created suburbia, which didn't really exist until Eisenhower was president. It existed in a small way, but not the way it does today. That's all a result of the interstate highway system. That's a government program.
I like you, brother. I was going to say the same thing. I think a lot of people don't understand what Social Security was like drummed up to solve. People don't have the historical like way back in the day, right? Well, I say way back in the day, about 100, a little over 100 years ago, most people in America lived on farms. Most people were farmers, right? As we industrialized, people started moving to cities, taking trade jobs and whatnot. They moved off of their farms, and so what happened is, previous to this, who lived on your farm as they got older. It was your parents, right? Elderly relatives and whatnot, people who couldn't have been, they were too old to work for themselves anymore and they lived on your multi-generational farm. Well, if you're moving away from the farm and you're not going to be there anymore, who's going to take care of your elderly parents? Are you just going to let them go in a 6-foot box? That's what Social Security was very specifically implemented to solve. The fact that as the demographics of our economics in the United States changed, we needed a way to make sure that seniors and the disabled and other people who are at risk had some means to and it's not like you can even go beyond just a moral argument that it's right to take care of the elderly and the vulnerable. You can look at it just as a purely economic, because plenty of people, when having to make the decision between going to the city to get a manufacturing job or taking care of their elderly mom or grandmother or whatnot, we're going to make the decision not to do the thing that would have increased both their and the country's economic prosperity. That's why we did Social Security.
Yeah, and we had back then, today, the wealthiest generation of Americans are the oldest generation. That was not true in 1932 when Roosevelt was elected president and instituted Social Security as soon as he took office. The elderly were the poorest people in America at that time.
I mean, do you like the internet? Do you like the fact that you have GPS? The United States government funded the research on that. We are the reasons that those exist. Because of the Great Depression, it was a way to save them. It was the government.
Now, was the Great Depression a catalyst for a lot of these programs? Sure.
I mean, the Great Depression was because of the very economic circumstances we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't just go let's have a Great Depression. Let's have things that happen in linear time cause reactions, and we do other things to solve them. That's how forward progress works, man.
The
Do we want to talk about some of the other things that I bet this guy loves that are socialist, like the 5-day work week, the 40-hour work week, time off, just a tremendous number of things that socialists in the early part of the 20th century fought for, so that you could be posting on TikTok at 11:41 a.m. or wherever it is in your time.
I mean, the government didn't create the Great Depression. Capitalism created the Great Depression. The government made it worse. Government absolutely made it worse. In their attempt to fix the problem that had already started, the government made it much worse. The stock market was the start of the Great Depression.
And someone in chat said it wasn't just farmers on Social Security. Oh, absolutely. You're correct. It wasn't just farmers. It was everybody who was old. And again, that was because of the destitute nature of old age in America in the 1920s and 30s.
If you like national parks, you can thank the government for us having national parks. And maybe you don't. Again, I'm not saying you need to like our government the way it is specifically set up right now. I don't like the government the way it works right now. Our government doesn't work right now. We've been saying that forever and a day. But the response to our government isn't working right now is we should have no government at all is short-sighted beyond belief. Because anarchy is not it either. I've been waiting for my trickle down my entire life at this point. True.
You know what's funny about that phrase is it was not originally coined as a positive. It was actually a pejorative that was used to describe it. It was saying that like whatever you feed the horse trickles down its leg once it's through the system.
Is it to believe that anarchy is the way to go? No. Anarchy is not the way to go. Who do you trust? It has nothing to do with the trust. It's not about trust. You think who has all the money and power right now? You think they're going to stop having all of the money and power in anarchy? Who's going to create the system? How are we going to pay for things? How are all the people in the system that has been set up that are living in apartments going to work going forward if there is no regulations or government? We are? No, we're not. No, we're not. When the French Revolution happened, the people that suffered the most were the people that caused the French Revolution. The government works for us. No, they don't. We as a people have never actually tried to enforce that. And what do I mean by that? 15 to 25% of the country votes in primaries, which is where you hold people accountable the most. People do not vote. Our government, our representatives have learned that they can say whatever they want and do whatever they want, and all they got to do is be an incumbent, and they got a really good chance of getting through. The Constitution does not say it's our responsibility to tear down a corrupt government. You absolutely can vote your way out of this. You can. No, it doesn't. It literally doesn't. Ban lobbying and put in term limits? Absolutely. Love it. And there are lots of people that are running on that want both of those. No. The only reason APAC has as much control as they do is because we as the people do a better job listening to ads we see on TV and stuff we hear from Fox News than actually doing being involved in any way, shape, or form ourselves. Set up with one? No, this has nothing to do with being set up. Graham Platner wasn't a setup. They may have waited to put it out as a setup. I'm not going to argue that one way or another. By spending money to put out ads that people listen to instead of doing any research on their own. No, it really wasn't. It's already come out that the people that chose him did not actually do any real vetting at all on him. They did like the basic vetting. They did not do a deep dive on him. Like literally there's an interview of the people that found him, convinced him to run, and told them that they would help get him money.
Yep, a full vetting would have cost $20,000, and they made the decision not to do it. They did a cursory vetting of Platner.
What does that mean? It means they didn't actually look deep into his past to find all of the things that have come out that are true. They pushed Massey out. No, people voted him out. That was BS. Prove it. Prove it was BS. Sure. This is what I'm talking about. They admitted it. They admitted that they did work to get him out. Yeah, they paid money. They paid a lot of money. It still involves the people voting. They didn't actually push him out. Pushing him out would involve him stepping down. You are choosing to listen. The people that get these things in the mail and decide to believe exactly what it says instead of doing their own research. Money buys elections. No! We allowed money to buy elections. You can't put that aside. That's the problem. Ignorance is the problem. No, we created the system. No, money uses ignorant people to get elections to go the way they want. I don't need a breather. I'm fine. This is how conversations work. Come on, people. It's okay. I'm fine. It is a former president has already said that a lot of people in Congress don't like AIPAC, but they know that if they speak out against that country, that they will get primaried, and it's not worth it for the amount of work it takes to run for Congress. Why do they feel that way? Because they know people will listen and won't listen to them. The people absolutely had a choice when it came to Massey. And the people chose to believe the president over Massey because Massey stood up against the president. As sad as I was in that respect, because I probably would have rather had Massey than than the other guy, which isn't saying much because Massey's not a great person to begin with. People had a choice. When 15% to 25% of the country comes out and votes in primaries, that means every choice is decided by a small group of people in this country. Yes. Do you guys think we should spending caps? I think the only money anybody should be able to use on their elections are money that is raised from within their states or their districts from people, straight up. And there should be limits. I don't think Massey was ever MAGA. Same with national elections. If you're talking like president, I mean, I don't think PACs should exist, and I don't think PACs should be able to fund anything. I think every part of being like a TV station or whatever, it should allow everyone running for office to put an ad up that shouldn't even have to get paid for. It should be given to people that are running. if I'm being honest. I think if we truly believe that everyone should be able to get informed, that should become part of it. All media. I think unregulated capitalism is a problem, which is what we have turned into. I think pure anything is a problem without strong regulation. Regulation, or lack of regulation, allows people to do things. It allows the nature of things. Capitalism allows the nature of greed to come forth. And that's what we're seeing. No one needs $1 billion. No one can even spend $1 billion. No, they've gotten rid of the regulations. It's not that they're not enforcing them. It's they've dismantled them over the years. Republicans specifically have dismantled them over the years. And it's much easier to get rid of regulations than it is to enact them. That's part of the problem. That is a problem. Which regulations have been dismantled? I do not have enough time to talk about that. They're a long list. They've been dismantling regulations since Reagan. I mean, the amount of monopolies we've allowed alone.
Well, certainly the amount of monopolies that the antitrust division of the Department of Justice has been neutered. Also, the same with the Federal Communications Commission. They've lowered pollution standards. They've lowered mileage per gallon standards. Yes, for some of the big ones, those are pretty big.
Groovy, I understand the problem. He's asking questions and he's asking seriously. We need to not just bash everyone who's asking questions. Trust me, I've been just as frustrated with some of the other things Dirty Sanchez has said, but we need to, if he shows that he's unwilling to learn, then he won't be here anymore, or at least to listen. But so far he's been willing to listen, and this space is supposed to be a place where people can be wrong. They just have to be willing to listen. I understand. I understand. It's the reason you're still here, honestly. If you're willing to learn and you're willing to listen. Oh, yeah, I know he doesn't have an E in there, but that's what I see every time I see his name. That's how it should work. The key is whether or not we have the same fundamentals. Past that, we need to be able to have a conversation. But if you don't agree with my fundamentals, I'm not sure we'll ever come to agreement on the other things. That's the thing that's hard. If we can't agree on fundamentals. And obviously, we agree on some things. The problem that I see with a lot of people is the direction that they want to go hurts people. Hurts more people than it helps. And if we can't accept that and work on fixing that, then we're going to be in trouble. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, my fundamentals are pretty simple. All people, no matter your race, religion, gender, or identity, deserve rights, respect, dignity, and safety. Those are my fundamentals. That's my line. That is my line in the sand. And if anyone says something against it, I'll call them out and we can talk about it. But if they choose to to not be willing to listen, then we have nothing else to talk about. Because I care about humans more than anything. Just because someone wasn't born in America doesn't make them any less of a human in my eyes. And doesn't make them deserve safety, dignity, respect, or rights. I know, I understand that, but I don't care. But we're also doing those. And you say anything positive about the US. And I'm going to tell you why I struggle with that question. Because it feels like a gotcha. It doesn't feel like it's an honest thing. I'm going to be honest, I struggle. I mean, there are people in the US that I love, that I care about. Were there things that I loved about the US more before we started getting rid of them? Sure. There are lots of people in this country that don't have rights in the same way anymore. Black people lost a lot of their rights to representation. First, we talk about negatives. I just said, women have lost their right to bodily autonomy. All right, guys, it's 12 o'clock. My family's here, so I'm going to go have lunch with them. How? The overturning of Roe v. Wade for women and the gutting of the Voting Rights Act by the Supreme Court. That's how. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and we'll talk about more stuff. And again, it's not constitutional. It is. It absolutely is. Bodily autonomy is constitutional. And voting rights, the Voting Rights Act, the rights to people being represented, it is constitutional too. Anyways, you guys are amazing just the way you are. I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys. Oh, and go see the video I just released today. It's really good if you know Amanda's Mild Takes. I just posted an interview with her. Go check it out. Bye, guys.